My name is Carol Fader, and I am the owner of Boyd's Madison Avenue. I don't know if you know any stories about Boyd's, but let me tell you how it began because it was very, very interesting. My sister and I, both of us, like cosmetics very much, so we decided that we would do a cosmetic line, but do them in beauty salons. So we went to the beauty salons and we did very well, and then we decided that if we're doing so well, why don't we open our own store? So we did. We opened up a beautiful cosmetics store and we had our own line, and it just didn't work out because when you have a cosmetic line, you just can't have your own. You have to have other people's and colognes and little gifts and so forth. So within a year, we had to close that down. So my sister and I said, well, let's look for a job as makeup artists because that's what we are. So she saw this place. It was a pharmacy and it was called Boyd's. And this is in the 1960s. And she went in and she said, I'm a makeup artist and I'd like to become a makeup artist for your store and I'd like to work here. And she was hired by this man and she came home. But when she came home, her boyfriend was there, and her boyfriend said to her, well, are there a lot of men there? And she said, well, you know, it's a pharmacy, they have makeup, they have food, they have perfumes. But he said, well, how many men? She says, oh, a lot of men. He said, oh, that's good. He said, could you give me their telephone number? And he takes their telephone number, this man, and he calls the store. And he says, I understand you hired my girlfriend, and really, you did a wonderful thing because she's really terrific. But she has just one problem, but I will take care of it. She likes to pick up things and not pay for it. But don't worry, if you write it down and tell me what she took, at the end of the month, I will send you a check. So this man said, I think you should tell your girlfriend to stay home. That was my sister. And she comes back and she tells me, she said, before I started, I was fired. 6 months later, I said to my sister, you know, she goes, I am so bored. Do you know that store that you went to? I won't tell them anything about you or anything. But you think they might have a job? She says, try it. So I went in there and I told him I was a makeup artist and so forth. And he thought that was good. He said, okay. He asked me what I did, what I'm used to doing, and I said, many things. I said, just try me out and you'll see I'm pretty good. So he did. And it worked out beautifully. Now the man that hired us had a brother who it was a partner. And this is the man that I married, the partner. So I'm in the store and I'm working and I'm doing all sorts of things. Now this was before Bloomingdale's had any makeup. If they had makeup, they had it where, here it is, look at it, but we can't put it on you, we can't put your lipstick on, we can't do anything. And Bonwateller, Lord & Taylor, Saks, everyone you can think of did not do makeup. So we started to do makeup, and we were on Madison Avenue, and we had some very nice customers. And little by little, the word got around. There's a makeup artist that is working with colors that you have not seen, like Maybelline and Revlon, because that's what was around at that time in the 60s. And so we began to work with that, and then their friends began to come in. And little by little, we had to work with appointments. And then now I'm getting very, very comfortable. And I say to the man that I was going to marry later on, I said, you know, we have to have our own line. Because if they're buying Revlon, they don't have to come back here to buy it. They can go to any store. Or Helena Rubinstein, which was very popular. I said, they don't need us. So he says, well, what can we do? I said, what we'll do is we'll go into private label. I had my own store once, and I know all the people what to do. He said, okay, let's do it. And so we went and we bought 5 or 6 things that was very, very different. Because at that time, people were wearing turquoise, they weren't wearing tones, they weren't doing special colors. They only knew from rouge, they didn't know from beautiful powders. And these are all the things that private label does, but it does for people that are interested in having little house parties and so forth. But I was doing it in a store. And little by little, we started to get so many people in that we had to hire 1 or 2 more makeup artists. And by that time, my husband and I, the man that I married, were starting to go out. And he said, you know, he said, I would really want you to stay forever. And we got very close. And he asked me to marry him. I said, I would. He said, and I know a lot of people in Europe. He said, because this Boys was an office building, so there were many, many people there. And some of the people there were a lot of people from Europe. So he knew people that were from Paris, from Greece, from Spain, and he knew them all. And they always said, you know, we have a lot of good stuff that you ought to come in to see us about. So when we decided to get married and then went on our honeymoon, he says, I am going to take you to all of these people, which he did. And I began to see things that I thought I knew things. I had never seen anything like it. They had pencils that were not just for eyebrows. They had pencils that you could use for lip liner, unheard of. They had pencils to use as eyeliner, never heard. Who would ever think to do that? The things that I brought back, it began to sell. And then the magazine people came in and they said, where are you getting this? Oh, I said, I'm private labeling this from Europe. Most of it comes from Italy and France. And they say, well, can we write this up? I said, well, I don't really need an ad. They say, no, you don't have to pay for anything. We just want to just talk about it. I said, that's great. And I began every single magazine that you can think of, we were in. They would go to a woman on Fifth Avenue and say, open your purse, what do you have in there? And in there would be all Boyd's makeup. And these people would say, who is Boyd's? Who are they? They say it's very different. They do things, instead of doing it at home, they do things differently. Department stores can't do it, so they're doing it. And it got insane. And the write-ups became unbelievable. And little by little, we decided that we would take out the food, because at that time, all pharmacies had a food counter. It was really doing well. My father was always in the restaurant business, and he says, you can't take out something that's doing so well. And I said, well, I have to. You can't have bacon sandwiches when you're putting makeup on. So we took that out, and little by little, then I had Mike Bloomingfeld come in from Bloomingdale's.